In the corridors of Marvel's universe, one symbiotic entity stands out with a blood-red ferocity: Carnage, a name that stands to its meaning, the violent killing of a large number of people. Little do we know how many he has killed. Beyond its notorious origin story lies a complex anatomy of his powers, weaknesses, and enigmatic traits. The anatomy of Carnage unfolds like a dark symphony. As we delve into this video, let's uncover a narrative that stretches from the molecular to the metaphysical, challenging the boundaries of what we call monstrous. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is Carnage? What does it look like? Carnage, the menacing symbiote, is the blood-red offspring of Venom, a creation born from the mind of a sociopathic serial killer, Cletus Cassidy. It all began when Venom's host, Eddie Brock, found himself imprisoned, and the Venom symbiote came to his rescue, unknowingly leaving behind an asexually produced offspring. Unbeknownst to Eddie, the Venom symbiote had been on the verge of spawning, responding to Thanos' quest for the Infinity Gems. It left behind its 999th offspring, which, in its search for a host, latched onto Cletus Cassidy through a wound on his hand, amalgamating with his blood. Transformed into a nightmarish black and red monster, Cassidy adopted the terrifying identity of Carnage and embarked on a gruesome killing spree. At the scene of each gruesome murder, he left a chilling message in his own blood: Carnage rules. Eventually, Carnage was separated from Cassidy, leading to Norman Osborn, also known as the Green Goblin, getting his hands on the symbiote. This transformation turned him into the Red Goblin. Norman even passed an offshoot of the symbiote onto his own grandson, Normie, creating the Goblin Child. The science behind Carnage. Symbiote biology explained. The science behind Carnage and his symbiote is a fascinating dive into the extraordinary. This sinister entity blankets its host in a blend of red and black biomass, endowing them with superhuman abilities that defy the laws of nature. First and foremost, Carnage gifts its bearer with incredible strength, reflexes, and agility, putting them head and shoulders above regular humans. It's a force that allows you to scale walls with ease, creating a web-like substance to swing through the city and manifesting tendrils for a variety of purposes. Now, what's truly intriguing is the symbiote's capacity to fashion weaponry, both bladed and blunt, all stemming from its very own biomass. This extraordinary power lets its host conjure an array of lethal tools. Intriguingly, this symbiote also possesses the gift of limited shapeshifting. It can mimic any form of clothing, blending seamlessly with its surroundings or altering its host appearance as needed. This shapeshifting ability adds a layer of complexity to Carnage's already wide arsenal. One of the most interesting aspects of this symbiote's biology is its unbreakable bond with Cletus Cassidy's bloodstream. Once merged, it becomes nearly impossible to forcibly separate them. The symbiote has a remarkable regenerative capability, capable of bouncing back even when it appears to be obliterated, making it a relentless and enduring entity. As for its physical structure, beneath the black and red visage, this symbiote is teeming with robust, tentacle-like muscles. These muscles serve a vital purpose, enabling the symbiote to move independently when it is not bound to a host. While it may not have a conventional body type, these powerful muscles allow it to operate with a sinewy grace. In conclusion, Carnage and his symbiote represents a marvel of nature and science, a nightmarish fusion of abilities and attributes that push the boundaries of human comprehension. Each cell a sensor, Carnage's remarkable organic surveillance system. Unlike Spider-Man, Venom, or Anti-Venom, Carnage doesn't possess a classic spider sense, but that doesn't mean he's without tricks. His body is a bizarre marvel, a full body sensor system that defies the ordinary. Thanks to his peculiar physiology, any of his cells anywhere on his body can function as whatever he needs. They can transform into eyes, noses, taste buds, or ears, acting like a Swiss Army knife of sensory adaptation to compensate for his lack of a spider sense. Can Carnage really drain life? Examining the symbiote's vampiric traits. Vampiric Carnage? Well, it's quite a deadly thought. While Carnage doesn't have any relations with a fanged creature, he does have a wicked touch. Even a quick brush can be deadly, and if you're stuck in its grip for too long, you might just as well wave goodbye. He definitely has the ability to drain life, and that too within a jiffy. Why can't Spider-Sense detect Carnage? Unraveling the mystery. Carnage has got a sneaky trick up its slimy sleeve. It can slither past Spider-Man's Spider-Sense and even hide from Venom's detection. No alarms, no sirens, just pure surprise. Because Carnage was born from the same goo that once hung out with Spider-Man, it can strike without setting off his alarm bells. Even more shocking, it can pull a double act, keeping Venom in the dark while it goes for the attack. It is a silent symbiotic ninja. Does Carnage have magical ability? You might know the Darkhold as the book from the recent MCU movie, but in the comics it's way more than what's shown on the big screen. Once it got mixed up with the Carnage symbiote when Cletus Cassidy's blood met its pages. What happened next? Well, the Darkhold waved its magic wand, taking away Carnage's weakness to sound, but gifting it a new vulnerability to chthonic magic. Not stopping there, the magic amped up Carnage's bonding power, letting it infect others with offshoots of itself, and giving it an even wider reach. Carnage didn't waste this newfound magical ability. It came in handy during the Carnage USA storyline and its stint as the Red Goblin. Can Carnage control his duplicates by its main body? Carnage, after some experimenting by Hall Industries, sprouted a new trick, making duplicates of itself. These creepy copies could dance to the main body's tune. But what's really wild is that the part of the symbiote can take a remote ride, piloting itself through communities or vast lands and puppeteering countless folks with a mere gesture of the main symbiote. At one point, this power was vanquished thanks to Super Spider-Man's chemical intervention. But then, things got spicy as the powers returned after a dose of the Darkhold magic, although an altar to Chthon was the key to making it work. Later, after bonding with Norman Osborn, Carnage went all out, passing on some goo to Normie Osborn, turning him into the Goblin Child. Does Carnage really have telepathic ability? Carnage, like all symbiotes, has a treasure trove of psychic tricks, yet much of its potential remains untapped. While the full extent of its telepathic powers remains a mystery, there are some jaw-dropping ways it is used. These abilities of his. Carnage can channel the insanity of both its host and the symbiote, and download it straight into another person's mind using those creepy tendrils of its. It's like injecting pure chaos and wickedness into an unsuspecting victim. But it doesn't stop there. Carnage can also plant memories from Cletus Cassidy's into the heads of poor souls, a mind-bending experience meant to torture and ultimately break them. How does Carnage's healing factor work? Carnage isn't your average folk when it comes to patching up wounds. This symbiote packs a regenerative healing factor that's straight out of a superhero dream. It can bounce back from the brink, regenerating from just a handful of cells. Whether it's getting torn in half, losing its head, or getting neurological injuries, he can fix them all like a pro. Carnage is a master of recovery. It even did some plastic surgery magic on Osborn, undoing his deformity and giving him his original face back. Carnage's regenerative speed is off the charts, healing him way faster and more extensively. Missing limbs or internal organs? No biggie. It can whip those back into shape. Heck, it even got a shiny new pair of legs after a tussle with a sentry, but that was during a separation from the symbiote. Goblin formula's impact on Carnage. When Norman Osborn, as the Red Goblin, got his hands on the Carnage symbiote, things got seriously heated. He bonded with it, and just to take things up a notch, pumped it full of the Goblin formula. The result? The symbiote became a fiery fortress, immune to the blazing heat and sound blasts as long as it hung out with Osborn. Not just that, it also got a power boost, restoring and enhancing its other abilities. Luckily, when the symbiote and Osborn went their separate ways, it lost those fancy new skills, leaving the door wide open for Spider-Man to put an end to its reign of terror. Oh, and speaking of fire, this souped-up Carnage could breathe out flames from its mouth, perfect for roasting its enemies, like Venom. It could also whip up explosive Carnage bombs from its biomass, and even the Goblin glider it rode was ablaze, making it a weapon for offensive and high-speed travel. Venom and Carnage symbiotes, a possible fusion or forever rivals. You remember how once upon a time, in the pages of the Peter Parker Spider-Man series, Venom paid Cletus a visit in his cozy cell, and well, he devoured Carnage's symbiote? Yes, they can merge, but it's not exactly a friendly union. You see, a symbiote's offspring is like a tiny piece of the big picture that's gained a mind of its own. As Carnage explained once, merging is possible, but they despise each other with such a fiery passion, making it a rare occurrence. Unless, of course, one decides to munch on the other, like Venom did to Carnage, or Dark Carnage did to Venom recently. Now, let's be clear. While they technically can merge, they'd rather be anywhere else than in the same symbiotic embrace. There have been some freaky aberrations here and there, but in general, they are not up for willingly becoming one big happy symbiote family. It's like mixing oil and water. They just don't want to blend. Can Carnage reproduce? Symbiotes have a peculiar way of growing their family tree. They reproduce asexually, and it's a bit like having seeds within their slimy mass. For instance, Venom had 7 children, and Carnage, the firstborn, had 3. Let's take a peek at their offspring. Number 1. Toxin. The spawn of the Carnage symbiote Toxin bonded with police officer Patrick Mulligan, hoping to be a hero. But things took a tragic turn when Pat met his end. After parting ways with Mulligan, Toxin teamed up with Eddie Brock to tackle Venom. It also briefly merged with 2 other symbiotes to battle Chthon. 2. Scorn. This one's a bit of a family drama. When the Carnage symbiote escaped Earth's orbit and bonded with Tanis Neves, it left its offspring within her prosthesis. Then it all got a bit complicated. Neves became one of the new symbiote, creating Scorn. Together, they faced off against Carnage and joined forces with the Mercury team to prevent Carnage from taking over Doverton, Colorado. 3. Ray's symbiote. Spawned by Carnage and bonding with former FBI Special Agent Claire Dixon, this one got its start through a dark ritual involving the Darkhold. It made quite an entrance, but later seemed to meet its end when absorbed by Jubilee Van Scotter's symbiote. That's the symbiotic family tree in a nutshell, and it's a wild, tangled web of creepy, crawly relatives. Does Carnage have any weaknesses? Carnage might be one of the strongest amongst his species, but even this symbiotic monster has its kryptonite. Just like most other symbiotes, Carnage crumbles in the face of sound and fire. But there's a twist. He doesn't mind turning up the heat himself. The fire that he creates is okay with him. However, exposure to the eldritch power of the Darkhold gave him some resilience against sonics, but the vulnerability to heat remained. Also, a newfound weakness to chthonic magic reared its head. Carnage's symbiote isn't a fan of extreme heat, although it can tough it out better than some of its skin. Getting scorched may weaken it temporarily, but it can also send Carnage into a rage-fueled frenzy. When it comes to loud vibrations, Carnage is worse off than Venom. Vibranium, for instance, is like his sonic kryptonite, separating the symbiote from its host with ease. What empowers Carnage, the Cletus Cassidy's madness, also happens to be his Achilles heel. His mental instability can be exploited if you know how to play your cards right. It can lead to manipulating his actions and even defeating him. It's like a double-edged sword. Madness both his strength and weakness. Marvelous verdict. We have come to the end of the video, discussing all aspects of his anatomy. Now is the time to bid adieu to this marvelous creation called Carnage. As the scarlet tendrils of Carnage extend across the Marvel Universe, its character arcs weave tales of madness, rebellion, and the insatiable thirst for dominance. It stands as a creature of nightmares, as well as creates a narrative challenging the conventional boundaries of villainy. His anatomy is a manifestation expression of raw power. Beyond its vulnerabilities, Carnage embodies chaos and strength, a living testament to the unholy union of host and symbiote. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.